In 1975, Pepsi humiliated the Coca-Cola in public and on camera.
Cola, Pepsi.
Pepsi. Pepsi.
I like Pepsi a lot better.
Pepsi tastes better.
What made Coca-Cola to change their most successful formula in 99 years, which actually built its empire?
These days, Coca-Cola is...
Today, Coke announced an
altering its...
It would change the formula of their classic soft drink for the first time.
new real thing, a change in its formula.
99-year-old secret recipe, but it thinks...
In 90 years.
What if I say Pepsi is the sixth largest military power on Earth? Yes. Around 1989, in Cold War time, the Soviet Union was obsessed. They didn't just want Pepsi, they needed it. But Soviet ruble was worthless outside their borders. In exchange for $3 billion worth of soda, the USSR handed over a fleet, 17 submarines, a cruiser, a frigate, and a destroyer. They sold them for a massive profit. But what if I say, in between 1922 and 1933, Pepsi was broken? They were so desperate that they went to Coca-Cola to sell its empire, not once, not twice, 3 separate times. Price? Just $50,000. But Coke's executive looked at the offer, laughed and said, "No thanks. We don't need you." That no became one of the most expensive words in business history. It didn't kill Pepsi, it insulted them. At that time, Coca-Cola didn't realize they were just rejecting a simple business deal, they were birthing their own worst nightmare. Think about it, if your greatest enemy offered to sell their soul for the price of a used car. Would you buy it to end the war, or would you make them suffer more? Or see how much of a headache they could become? Well, Coca-Cola choose to see how they survive. But Pepsi become migraine, not just headache. What made Coca-Cola to say no? And how does Pepsi redefine themselves, from a position they are in, to a company that generates revenue of $92 billion approximately, which is actually a double of Coca-Cola? This isn't the rivalry between two soda companies, this is the rivalry of pride. Revenge. And one of the greatest business masterclass in history, the Great Cola War. And this is the ultimate rivalry. Episode 2, Pepsi versus Coca-Cola. Before all this war, it was medicine. 2 pharmacists. 2 tonics. 5 cents a glass. 1886 Atlanta. A wounded Civil War veteran, John Pemberton, was trying to create a painkiller for his morphine addiction. He mixed cocoa leaves and cola nuts into a thick, dark syrup. He called it Coca-Cola. 600 miles away, in North Carolina, Caleb Bradham was doing the same thing. His Brad's drink mix of sugar, vanilla, and pepsin, an enzyme meant to help digestion. 1898, he rebranded it to Pepsi Cola. Then, both men realized and started promoting and selling for local stores. And they expanded slowly. Coca-Cola was an instant hit. It is a gold standard. They found a strategy of bottling system. Coca-Cola allowed independent bottlers to franchise production. This single move turned Coke from local drink to scalable empire. Coca-Cola wasn't just a soda. It was the system. Whereas Pepsi? The business began to grow. Franchises increased year by year. The company was selling more than 100,000 gallons of syrup per year. Building a strong franchise system was one of greatest achievements for both. That shows the brilliance behind the mindsets that actually made to discuss even after 130 years. But the outbreak of World War I changed the cost of producing Pepsi Cola. And that leads to change in ownership, debts, and eventually bankruptcy of Pepsi Cola. Remember that, no? From start of the video? Coca-Cola looked at their dying rival and laughed. Coca-Cola just showed their dominance. And here comes Charles G. Guth, appeared on the scene that the future of Pepsi Cola was assured. Pepsi Cola became a thriving national brand once again. But the nation sank deeper during Great Depression. Times were tough and 5 cents was a lot to pay for a 6-ounce soft drink. But Guth decided pull off one of the risky action. To make Pepsi Cola a great value for hard-pressed consumers. In Baltimore, he offered twice as much Pepsi, for the same price as other soft drinks, a 12-ounce bottle of cola for just a nickel, and it was a big hit. Consumers responded immediately, business boomed. For a struggling world with economies, Pepsi wasn't a drink, it was a lifeline. Pepsi became a rebellion when Coca-Cola was an establishment. And slowly Pepsi stopped being a joke. On other side, Coca-Cola play around the mystery of their recipe that constantly creates their brand identity. They even placed their secret formula in bank vault in Atlanta. And they doubled down on billboards and ads. They begin their associations with Olympics, and they even create Santa Claus' first illustration, showing that he posing for a Coke. Coca-Cola simply targets on people emotion and traditions. Pepsi enters into scene. Pepsi believed that advertising could be a cornerstone of soft drink marketing, and introduced a comic strip, Pepsi and Pete, to promote Pepsi's pricing advantage. Other cola companies had no choice but to lower their prices to compete. But Pepsi retained its leadership with a catchy song about its low price. The tune, Nickel, Nickel, was the first advertising jingle to be played and heard. And it even named it one of the top 10 ad of the past century. The rivalry is slowly heating up. And both colas are trying hard to conquer the globe and grab more customers. Ad after ad, trick after trick, plan after plan. They are leveling up the innovation, strategies, and planning. And then, World War II. 1941, Coca-Cola's CEO pulled a masterstroke. He promised every American soldier a Coca-Cola for 5 cents, no matter where they were. During the war, 64 portable bottling plants are sent to Asia, Europe, and North Africa. And many non-Americans tasted Coca-Cola for the first time. While the world was fighting for freedom, Coca-Cola was conquering globe. And became empire. World War II resurrected an old nemesis, sugar rationing, the action that had contributed to the company's downfall during World War I. But, learning from past mistakes, bought a sugar plantation in Cuba, and Pepsi continued to prosper. And they also capitalized on patriotism. They run different ad campaigns on soldiers. After World War II, but the post-war marketplace was changing rapidly. The companies began experimenting with new bottle sizes, and for the first time began to package Pepsi Cola in cans. And Coca-Cola's king-size and family-size bottles became popular. And Pepsi launched new logo incorporating the bottle cap was adopted, and Pepsi was no longer advertised based on price. This is where the math gets weird. If you look at brand value, Coke is the king. But if you look at the turnovers, Pepsi is crushing it. Coca-Cola brings in roughly $45 billion in revenue. Pepsi? Over $90 billion. What made Pepsi crush the Coca-Cola, when the globe tasting the Coca-Cola? This masterstroke from Pepsi made themselves a money machine. In 1965, Pepsi merged with Frito-Lay. They realized that salty snacks make you thirsty, thirsty makes you buy soda. Pepsi stopped being a soda company and become a consumption company. They own chips, Doritos, Cheetos, and a soda. So when the soda consumption slowed, snacks carried the empire. The bankrupt ghost, become a diversified giant. Then the Pepsi realized that they can hurt Coca-Cola. And they did that. 1975, Pepsi's blindfold challenge. Pepsi set up a blonde taste tests everywhere. And people choose Pepsi over
That's why
Coca-Cola.
the Pepsi Challenge has been asking thousands of people across the country to let their own taste decide. And the fact is, nationwide, more people prefer the taste of Pepsi over Coca-Cola.
Pepsi.
Pepsi. Pepsi.
I like Pepsi a lot better.
Pepsi tastes better.
Taste.
The humiliation was global. For the first time, King was terrified. Coca-Cola did unthinkable. They changed the most iconic old formula and introduced new Coke. It was the biggest blunder in history. 79 days of riots, death threats, and tears.
But it wasn't the taste of New Coke that people didn't like. It was the idea of it, of changing a constant like Coca-Cola. By mid-May, the Coca-Cola Company's Atlanta headquarters had hired extra operators to handle the 5,000 angry calls coming in each day. By June, they were handling 8,000 a day.
What we didn't know was how many thousands of you would phone and write asking us to bring back the classic taste of original Coca-Cola. Well, we read and we listened, and you know the rest.
But was it a mistake? Or was it the most genius reverse psychology move ever? Because when Coke Classic returned, people didn't just buy it, they worshipped it. After the new Coke chaos, both companies realized something important. The war was no longer about taste. It was about culture. Business people, the media, and consumers began to observe that Pepsi, an upstart, aggressive company, was challenging the dominant soft drink company, Coca-Cola, with increasing success. The media named the competition the Cola Wars. The 1980s turned the Cola War into a pop culture battlefield. Coca-Cola doubled down on emotion. Christmas. Family. Happiness. Their Santa Claus ads didn't just sell soda. They created the modern image of Santa the world knows today. They were selling nostalgia. Pepsi chose the opposite strategy. Youth. Rebellion. Celebrities. Michael Jackson. Madonna. Britney Spears. Pepsi wasn't the drink of tradition. It was the choice of a new generation. And the message was clear. Coke was your parents' drink. Pepsi was yours. The Cola War had officially entered living rooms, televisions, and pop culture history. Another interesting battlefield, restaurants. Many fast food chains signed exclusive contracts. For example, you'll find PepsiCo products in places like KFC and Taco Bell. That's because Pepsi once owned those chains through its restaurant division. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola dominates chains like McDonald's. Both created identity for themselves. Coke equals timeless tradition. Pepsi equals constant reinvention. Pepsi changed its logo many times. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola kept almost the same logo for over 100 years. You'd think after 100 years of fighting, they'd want each other dead. But in 2006, the world learned that there is honor in the trenches. A Coca-Cola employee named Joya Williams tried to sell Coca-Cola's secret documents. Not to the media, but to Pepsi. She offered confidential formulas and product samples. For $1.5 million. This could have been the ultimate corporate sabotage. But Pepsi did something unexpected. They called Coca-Cola immediately and informed the FBI. The result? Williams was arrested. Pepsi refused to win the war through cheating. Because some rivalries are fought with strategy, not betrayal. For more than a century, these two companies have fought a war of ideas. Taste tests. Celebrity battles. Global politics. Even submarines. In 1985, the Coca-Cola Company worked with NASA to create a special Coke can for astronauts. Soon after, PepsiCo rushed to create its own Space Cola container. Both brands were literally trying to become the first soda in space. It turned into a PR stunt during the Cold War. Even space wasn't far enough to escape the Cola War. But the real secret of the Cola War is something most people never notice. Coca-Cola and Pepsi didn't destroy each other. They made each other stronger. Every attack forced innovation. Every mistake forced reinvention. And every victory pushed the other to fight harder. Because in business, sometimes your greatest enemy is the reason you survive. This wasn't just a soda rivalry. It was a masterclass in competition, strategy, and resilience. And the war? It's still not over. The Cola War proved one thing. Sometimes the greatest brand strategy is having the perfect rival. And this is the ultimate rivalry. Episode 2 signing off.